let's hit the live button.
All right, we're live.
Cool. Hey guys, how you doing? We are running our fortnightly Building Public call today to give you all the latest update on all things Streamr. Hi Adeve, hi Petri, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Mark? Bitcoin Boomer, Mark.
Bitcoin Boomer, to use my TikTok profile. Yeah, myself and Adeve started live streaming on TikTok as well, which is new to us, and we're testing out the platform. We're talking about Streamr, Bitcoin, Web3 in the broadest terms. That's quite interesting. Anyway, let's get back to the topic for today. It's the Building Public fortnightly call. We've got quite a bit to update on, and we want to talk through the latest plans and the progress and what's happening. So yesterday I put out a blog post with a bit of an overview of the next steps with regards to the Streamr application layer. So let me summarize that in the next 5 minutes or so. So before I do that, let's just recap on the last 6 months for those that are kind of new to the call and not fully up to speed with what's happening on Streamr. 6 months ago, Petri and the team started scoping a minimum viable product for a decentralized video streaming application built on top of Streamr network. And essentially we were doing that really to test our sort of core technology for low latency scalable video streaming. And following the success of that and initial testing, we built MVP2, which came out a few months ago. MVP2 is a one-to-many broadcasting application. It's serverless, which means it's peer-to-peer and it's decentralized. And we've been adding features in MVP2 such as decentralized chat, a function that sits alongside the video stream. We've added a payment rail, we've added video recording, and a host of other features as well. And we're really happy with the progress that we've made to date. From a technology perspective, it's working well. We've got some tightening up to do, but we know where the weaknesses are, and that's all in hand and work in progress. And following the success of MVP2, what we've been doing in parallel is assessing the market, understanding where the demand is, where the gaps in the market are. And now we're at a place where we are ready to say, okay, what we want the application layer to become in terms of a core value proposition and the problems that it's solving. For those that have been joining this call on a more regular basis, you'll have heard myself, Adeve, Petri talk about the fact that we've been testing and understanding the market and testing different sort of value propositions within live video streaming. And we have a high level of confidence now that this is the best way forward for us as we take this product to the next stage. So I'll talk more about the sort of commercial opportunity in a moment. There's just one more thing that I just need to reiterate from a sort of product perspective side of things is that MVP2 was one-to-many. It means that at the click of the button, you can live stream from a source point to an unlimited audience size using the Streamr network, and readily scales in that manner. But it's one-to-many only, and that was always the limitation. As we move into private and secure video conferencing, which is the next step in the journey for us, we need to move to the application being able to do many-to-many. Well, actually, the technical name for it is multi-broadcast. So just to explain that in a bit more detail, what it means is that we can host conversations on the Streamr application, and we can host a video conference style scenario or use case. So let's every day, Petri and Adeve, myself, we use platforms like Google Meet, Zoom, and that is the classical video conferencing use case for startups. In order for us to be able to do that, we need to introduce multi-broadcast technology, and we can talk with Petri about that in a moment because that's been worked on. And on Tuesday, Petri shared a first demo internally within the core team, and it's pretty encouraging. So that's really, really exciting. It's another reason for us to be confident in the next step of the journey for the Streamr application. Okay, let me talk a bit more about why we've decided on going after decentralized video conferencing and why we think that's the right opportunity to go after. So first and foremost, talk about the current trends that we're seeing. We're seeing an increase in kind of need and demand for private and secure based communications platforms. We're seeing the numbers in Google data. We're seeing it on a sort of qualitative basis across many publications across the internet. We're seeing ongoing challenges. In the headlines recently, a whistleblower came out very recently, ex-engineer from Google, essentially saying that Google are looking at all data across all platforms, Google Meet, Google Mail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc., and using that data to train their AI systems, namely Gemini. Now, those that work in the privacy and security space, we've long suspected this, but it's really alarming. And the need for private and secure communications becomes all the more necessary when we start to understand that and we start to understand where the future of the internet is going. So speaking of the future of the internet, a trend that we have seen in the last 12 to 24 months is the threat of deepfake AIs. Individuals are being socially engineered out of their funds, whether they be crypto funds or whether they be traditional bank accounts. And in those scenarios, deepfake AIs are impersonating team members in video conference calls and tricking people into sending large amounts of money. There's been many examples of this in the last 12 to 24 months. Some of them very high profile. Notably, there's this UK engineering firm, which was a very sort of public example from last year. And there's many examples of even advanced Web3 users being conned out of their funds by deepfake AIs. Deepfake AI is typically on a Zoom call, asks the user to download some malware. Malware infects the device, drains a crypto wallet, and then the funds are gone in a matter of minutes. It's a common story, and we need solutions for these challenges, and we need more solutions and better solutions for these challenges in the future. So there are clear problems there to be solved and a real opportunity. The other thing is, if we look at the addressable market and the size of the prize here and the opportunity, the privacy platforms that are gaining traction are not small. They are big and they are growing. The entire addressable market is in the billions, and it's growing somewhere between 15 and 25% CAGR per year. So the growth is there. We look at competitor platforms that are in the privacy and security space, doing very well with hundreds of millions of users. Some of them are monetizing those users directly, some are not, and making money in other ways. But let's just take an example. Proton would be a great example. Proton started life 10 years ago as Proton Mail, now over 100 million users, and a large amount of those are subscribers to their premium products and product suite. Now, this leads me on to a really important point about the longer term strategy of Streamr and supporting the token. Those that have been in and around Streamr for a while, the elephant in the room is everyone's frustrated with the token price and the market cap. And I've been saying on this call for some time, the way for us to fix that is to generate real demand for a product and monetize it and have those revenues go back to the underlying tokenomics of Streamr Network and Streamr projects, supporting the token price over the long term. And what you're going to start to see from early next year for the first time is a direct linkage between video streams on Streamr application and those video streams being directed via our operator node layer. So we have different types of nodes within the Streamr network. We have what you might refer to as light nodes, which are used in a typical peer-to-peer fashion. And then we have another layer of operator nodes that we can deploy. Those operator nodes are incentivized to propagate the video stream as a result of native token rewards. In order to drive the linkage between our application and the network, we need to redirect those revenues into the operator nodes to support the tokenomics. So there's an underlying economic model there. Now, we see other successful Web3 projects and DeepIns following a similar track. Brave browser would be a good example. Helium would be another great example. And on Helium specifically, we've talked about this in other building public calls, but Helium are the best case example in Web3 of a turnaround story. So they built the supply side of their network in the IoT space with the LoRaWAN protocol. They couldn't find demand and product market fit there. They pivoted into telco, and they're finding good traction there. You can look at the fees they're generating on June Analytics, DeFi Llama. Those fees are coming across to support the token value, and it's the best practice example within Web3 at the moment, in my opinion. And so we're learning from these other projects and how they've done it, and we're implementing the same strategies and approach for Streamr Network in broader terms and for Streamr App. Okay, so all of these points we've covered off before in previous building public calls. I'm just reiterating here for those that are kind of new to the topic or want to refresh on the latest conversations and the strategy. Let me just talk about the product a little bit more. So for those that have read the blog announcement yesterday, in terms of branding and naming, we're going to keep Streamr Network sort of named as is and on the same URL at streamr.network, and then streamr.com, and the Streamr brand will cover the application layer. So for the MVP, we'd been referring to StreamrTV. We're evolving the name now just to refer to it as the Streamr app. And actually in the new year, we're going to be launching the beta of the Streamr app. So the beta is the first product that we're going to be able to monetize with a premium tier with premium features for video conferencing in a secure and private manner. And it's a really exciting step in the project's journey because we have a product that is good enough and strong enough in order for us to monetize. And yeah, we're very excited about this. So that's where we are. There's a lot in there to unpack, and we can talk around that into a deeper discussion, but that's the summary. Adeev, Petri, did that all make sense? Did I kind of cover everything, or any sort of follow-up questions?
You got it all covered.
I guess the question, it's more like nuanced, but how will everything kind of look on the beta as far as like usability from like a consumer's perspective? Like when I enter the app, obviously I know we're going to see the globe and stuff, but it seems like it's going to be a lot of different options on there. Yeah, so the globe is a hangover from StreamrTV. We're not going to launch with the globe with the Streamr beta, but the user experience is super clean for a video conferencing case. So as you go into the product, it's as before. It's one click to start broadcasting. Sharing of the URL is super easy to do, and the meeting room is always going to be centered around a generic URL, or for premium users, we're probably going to introduce a custom URL. And the reason that that's really important is because from the start of this, we've always wanted to make it as simple and easy to use for everybody as possible, especially free users. And with video conferencing, you want that URL just so you can put it into a meeting invite. You can share it with other attendees, just as simply as possible. So definitely we're holding on to that. And, again, we've talked about this in previous calls, but one click to broadcast or to start a video conference meeting is a key UX feature. And, credit to Petri, because this was his thinking some 6 months ago, or even before that. Actually, I was talking about this in an AMA yesterday. It's always been the case for Web3, like decentralized technologies, that we need to make it super easy for everybody to use. So your grand could use it, right? And so that's how we designed the product. So that remains, and we're definitely not losing that. So that's key.
Yes. So may I elaborate on this this ease of use thing? So you guys might be thinking that, okay, nowadays StreamrTV is really one click to live stream. You don't need to log in on anything. You don't need to sign up. The same usage experience will continue for the free tier, but for this premium tiers, you obviously are going to need some kind of means of signing up, logging in, because you need to pay this monthly fee for this premium tier. So also here we are going to make it as easy as possible for the users. So our idea is that instead of registering to a central server in traditional way of giving your email and password and so on, so we are going to use this WebAuthn standard. You might want to Google it up. It's a pretty new standard, but fortunately supported by all the major browser vendors. So with WebAuthn, you will log in to the site using the main credentials of your device. So on mobile phone, it means the Face ID. On a desktop, it means the fingerprint or your master password. And to go more into detail how our system would work is that we will actually create a web wallet, a crypto wallet for the user who is signing in, and we will use and we will encrypt this crypto wallet to be able to securely store it on IndexedDB or local storage of the browser. We encrypt it in standard manner using AES encryption, and then we will use this specific feature of the WebAuthn standard, where you can actually securely attach blobs into your authentication. So this you can attach 32 bytes of data with your authentication, and that's securely stored by the browser. So we are going to put this encryption key that we use for encrypting this web wallet. We're going to store that into this blob of this WebAuthn system. So the web wallet will be securely stored on your browser, and instead of this normal usage experience of such things where you encrypt the web wallet with a password or passphrase, we shall rely on the WebAuthn where you can use your Face ID. So it will be super easy to log in to the system. And if I continue from here, so this web wallet then enables us to do all kinds of Web3 things that you can imagine. And besides this, it will be bound to your subscription that you make for this premium tier.
Yeah, so just to build on what Petri's talking about, the kind of logic behind this is that we can add more privacy by using these kind of web wallet techniques. In the majority of platforms, you need to, for a paid account, you need to use it's all centered around an email address. And, as we're building out the beta, we'll probably take a similar sort of approach. But actually what Petri is hinting at is the fact that we can build login systems that are more pseudonymous in nature. it's an added layer of privacy in that you can come in and use our product. You can use the free product at the click of a button, but if you want to use premium features and subscribe to a higher level of security, a higher level of privacy, then by using these web wallet techniques, you can do so pseudonymously. And so we're really thinking hard in the roadmap about, okay, how do we take what we have today as the industry default for video conferencing? Let's say it's Google Meet and Zoom, and then how do we layer up layers of privacy and security features so that we can make the most secure video conferencing product in the world today? So that's our clear objective. Now, because we're using Streamr Network as the underlying technology, we are off to a flying start. Let's just talk about that for a little bit. So those that know the Streamr technology and the project will understand that it's serverless, it's peer, which is another word for peer-to-peer. So straight away, that is the starting point. That gives it a level of security which centralized privacy and security-based products simply don't have. Let's just give a quick analogy for that for the less sort of technologically minded. But let's say, for example, you're using a centralized VPN. How do you know who is behind the companies of these centralized VPNs? You don't. Every time you click a button to use a VPN for privacy reasons, you are trusting a company and the group of people behind that company with your personal information, with your IP address, with your metadata, which is all sorts of other types of information as well. Now, those that work in the VPN industry purport that a lot of that data is compromised in different ways. So the terminology is that is trusted, whereas because we're building on Streamr Network, it is trustless. The technology means that you don't have to trust any individual or group of individuals. That's how this whole thing is built from the ground up. So that's the start point in terms of security. The other thing that we do by default is encryption end-to-end. So it means that if we're having this discussion on the Streamr application and there's Adiv, myself, and Petri, as the video stream goes between the three of us, it goes point to point, human to human, peer to peer, because there's no servers. And as it does so, it's encrypted. Encryption for peer-to-peer networks is inherently challenging, but the core technology of Streamr Network has delivered that some time ago. And so that's the start point for this video conferencing application. Out of the gate, we are, I would say, one of the most secure solutions for video conferencing on the market. And that is our free product that everyone can use at the click of a button. And then on top of that, as we get into premium subscription, we're going to add privacy and security layers on top of that. So some of the ideas that are coming through in the roadmap, some of the features that are coming through the roadmap are, as Petri's just been explaining, with regards to web wallets, also self-hosting of the application. Essentially, at the moment, it's a progressive application, web app. So self-hosting of that gives privacy advocates an added reassurance that no one can intermediate with the code base and inject backdoors and ways of seeing the content of that video conference. So it's an added layer of security. And there's various other features that we're bringing through as well. So on top of all of that, there's, as we've talked about again in this call, because of the nature of Streamr Network, which is highly scalable, it means that we can, as video conference users, we can also broadcast to an unlimited audience size for free. So that will be in our free product. And if you look at the competition on the market, broadcasting out to an unlimited audience size is always a premium feature. So again, the use cases is if you're running a small team, if you're running a startup, if you want to live stream to your community, if you're using Zoom, it's going to cost you thousands of euros, thousands of dollars a year. With the Streamr Beta, you'll be able to do that for free. So, we're off to a flying start in terms of security and usability with even the free product. And then what we're saying is that if you are a true privacy advocate and you want to use trustless technology in order to have the most secure and private video streaming app, then you come to Streamr, and that's what we're building, and that's what we're going to offer in the new year.
Nice. That's exciting. You think we're going to do something where, because it seems like it's going to be the all-purpose decentralized streaming app. That's kind of like the idea. And like Streamr Meets, which is similar to like a business solution for meeting, consumer facing side of it. Will it be also like a StreamYard focused area where like you could basically stream on StreamrTV and you can go and stream across all platforms pretty seamlessly, decentralized as well, like, with the Streamr tech.
Okay, so here's the current thinking on that. So we're going after privacy and security. We see an opportunity in the market for that. We know our technology can deliver on that better than other video conferencing products in the market. From there, we might take an approach, and I'm talking about the sort of medium and longer term approach. I'm talking about 12 months plus from now. We might build other privacy and security based products. So that strategy is what I'd call the product suite strategy. So if you look at Proton Mail, for example, they launched in the space of Proton Mail, and then they added Proton Calendar, Proton Drive, Proton VPN, etc., and they laddered up their suite of products all around the sort of core value proposition of privacy and security. And so we could very much take that strategy, or it might be that in 12 months' time, we decide to layer on other features, which is kind of adjacent to privacy and security, and turn Streamr app into a live streaming super app, as I call it. Mm. And so, multi-streaming might be a feature that we bring in and add on. So it's like a StreamYard type use case, like you say, Dev. Like with our technology, we can do that. So we have these two kind of paths that we still haven't decided on yet. We can go after the product suite technology, owning privacy and security, trustless privacy and security, trustless being the important word, or we can go after the sort of super app proposition. On that right now, it's too early for us to make a call. Like we're probably 6 months away from making that call. We need to see who our first users are, who come in, how they use the application, and where the opportunities lie. So on that one, that's still very much a kind of TBC in terms of strategy and approach.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Really, what becomes the most stickiest? That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Whatever.
We've always said we're going to follow the data on this, right, and follow the demand. I think there's a question from Bon Jovo, and he says Streamr app beta January Q1 H1. Okay, so we're aiming to get the Streamr beta live kind of late January. We haven't got a hard date around that. It might slip into February. That's certainly the aim. So definitely Q1. And the challenge right now is that again, small team. We're running pretty fast behind the scenes. We're shipping a lot. It's quite hard for me to convey in some of these calls just how much work is being done behind the scenes, but our feature roadmap's pretty packed. So that's the timings we're going for. Yeah, that's the answer to that question essentially.
Yeah. So
why don't we let's talk about multi-broadcast a bit more. So you've been working on the demo for that, and I was privileged to see the sort of first look at that on Tuesday. What's your give an overview of that, like where we're at, what the challenge is, and kind of how it works would be interesting to hear about.
Yeah. So how this multi-broadcast thing actually works is because you guys probably know how StreamrTV currently works. So we have the broadcaster UI and we have the viewer UI. So basically what we are currently building is a combination of these two. So there is going to be a single UI for both both sides. We will merge these two worlds together, and instead of like separate UIs, we are going to have 3 different roles for the users, and those roles are, if you have been using X Spaces for instance, those are going to be familiar from there. So we are going to have hosts who can control the call or the broadcast. Then we are going to have speakers, and we are going to have viewers. And the viewer UI is going to have the least features. So you are basically going to be able to view the broadcast, view the call, and you will be able to request to speak, just like in X Spaces you can. So when you press this button that request to speak, a request is sent to a host, and then host approves that, and you become a speaker. And then your UI will update. It will have the controls for the camera and the microphone there, and basically then you are on the call. And additionally, if you have if you are going to participate as a co-host, you can also request that from the original host and become a host. And as a host, you can manage the speakers, manage the viewers. You can promote viewers to be speakers, and then de-promote some speakers who are speaking too much to. So this kind of functionality is going to be there on the UI level. So first we are going to, so probably this very first version that we release is going to only have this speaker role. So you can think of that as Google Meet kind of thing, where anybody with the link can participate in the call and have a normal video call. But pretty quickly after that, we are going to introduce these user roles, and then we are going to have like X Spaces kind of experience, but with video, not only audio. So so this is basically the development roadmap from the UI perspective. There's, by the way, one thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about this logging in and signing up things, that of course you Web3 enthusiasts out there, you already have your wallets. You have MetaMask, so you can of course use that to log in as well. Like this web wallet thing is meant for this Web2 users as an easy way for them to get on board.
Yeah, we need to make it as easy as possible for Web2 users. That's always the challenge, isn't it? So yeah, we've started having a few conversations around that. I think there's going to be a little bit of education there in order how to do it, with regards to 12-word seed phrases and what have you. But I think that is not an unsurmountable challenge. Just had a question come in from Laz, which is, where do you guys seeing more success with the meeting app and the live stream app? So we're seeing more success with the meeting app, the video conferencing app, and this decision doesn't come lightly. We've been thinking about this, researching it, testing it, working on it for the last 3 months. Not only comparing the video conferencing opportunity and market with a live stream type proposition, but other value propositions as well. We could talk about that for the next half hour, but just let me give you some reference points. So in the introduction of this call, I was explaining about the opportunity within video conferencing. There's a gap in the market. We can do it better from a security and privacy perspective. There's a huge addressable market for privacy and security that is growing, and it's growing because the need is there and it's going to continue to be there. In fact, the need is going to get stronger and stronger with the onset of AI, as we see agentic AI taking over the internet. So there's this whole trend at the moment about no AI, which you might have seen online, and there's a group of privacy advocates and sort of anti-AI communities that are springing up saying, look, we don't want AI anymore. And so this is kind of part of the positioning for Streamr app is that, you know, we're fighting against this thick and fast onset of, you know, data sharing to fuel AI systems. So, you know, we have a really good understanding of the macro trends and the gaps in the market and how we can be better and more competitive than the incumbents. And all the other value propositions that we've been looking at, and there've been as many as 15, including decentralized version as Twitch, grassroots live sports streaming, music streaming, DJ set streaming. These are all use cases for live video streaming platforms. But inevitably, what we see is that the opportunity isn't there. It's not as strong, or it's much, much harder to take on the incumbents. So, you know, we don't necessarily have a really strong point of difference or competitive advantage, say, versus, say, Kick. Like a lot of people have said to me over the last kind of 6 months, you could become the next decentralized Twitch because you can offer more money back to content creators. Well, actually, the amount of money we can offer back to content creators versus, say, Kick or, dare I say, OnlyFans in the adult entertainment industry, you know, it's not a massive difference, right? So, yeah, there's an argument that we could go down that route, but our assessment is that that would be a mistake. And there are many other platforms that are building into centralized social media, DSO as it's known, and they're not getting traction for those kind of a reason. For those reasons. So yeah, we feel resolutely that this is the biggest opportunity. Absolutely. I think what's important to understand is that we're building next generation video conferencing application to start, and we've got, you know, one eye on the future. It's about making a video conferencing app that is very much fit for purpose for the way that the internet is going and how we use the internet in the future. It's designed from the ground up to serve individuals and humans rather than tech conglomerates and corporations. And so, you know, I mention all of this because we're kind of getting back to some of the original founding values of the Web3 movement. And I think that's really, really important. And I think the time for that is right. So this kind of direction and strategic decision is backed up by the work that we've been doing over the last 2 to 3 months. But it makes sense across everything that we're doing, you know, from the trends that we see in the market to the opportunity, but most of all to, you know, to the technology. You know, it's key that Web3 starts to embrace again the benefits of decentralization. And, you know, we've talked about this on many calls, on the Building Public call, but on other AMAs and podcasts as well. You know, what are the inherent benefits of decentralization? You know, Bitcoin came along and established trustless money, a better form of money than fiat. And now we're seeing the emergence of DeFi that is cementing itself as, you know, a sort of macro use case for Web3 technologies, decentralized technologies. Where are the other big areas? The other big area that we all forgot about was privacy. And when Web3 came along, trustless technologies, decentralized technologies, it was clear to everyone had a role to play in terms of privacy and security. Again, that whole line of discussion is another lengthy topic, and there's a particular definition of the difference between security and privacy. And maybe we save that conversation for another day, but I'll just wrap up on this point by saying that, you know, we are a decentralized technology at our core, and through that core technology, it ladders up to a much, much better product within the video and conferencing space. And people need it, people want it, and they're going to need it more and more. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, what else? Petri, what else are you working on in the roadmap?
Yes. So as Mark mentioned earlier in this call, we had a internal demo event on Tuesday, and there were several cool developments that were presented there, and I would like to highlight this this work that was actually done by Henry, our founder, on this, bringing the StreamrTV streams to be present on the blockchain. So this is the key, that we will bridge the this StreamrTV project and the tokenomics of Streamr. It will bring them together, and the positive thing here is that it has now been implemented and it's working well. We saw it on Tuesday, and we are very excited to release it pretty soon. I don't know, Mark, if you have more detailed release schedule for this, but
no, but it's going to be soon. We need to talk about that, Petri, and get a release date for that. Let's just talk a little bit more about what Petri's talking about. So this is, I mean, we've touched on it already in this call, but this is exciting because it's this direct linkage between the application layer and the underlying tokenomics of the protocol. Now, why are we doing that? Well, the role of the operator nodes is twofold. One is, if you're having a video conferencing meet or use case and it's in challenging environments, let's say, for example, Petri's in East Asia, Adiv's in the US, and I'm in Africa, wherever, Europe, doesn't matter. We're in different parts of the globe. To do that in a sort of peer-to-peer manner can be challenging, of course, because of the geographical distances. In the traditional world of technology, that problem is solved through content distribution networks, which essentially are a pipeline of distributed servers. And we're serverless because we want to be more secure. And so we have to go P2P direct. Now, a way to support more performant live streaming and delivery of that video conference is to engage our operator nodes. And so in one of the premium tiers, what we're working on, and is very likely, is that at the click of a button, as you go into that premium tier and you're hosting a video conference, you can deploy up to 5 operator nodes. So the video conference will go across those other operator nodes for more performant live streaming. So that's the first reason that this is interesting, exciting. The second one is more on the privacy angle. And so if you engage operator nodes in what's called a proxy pattern, which is very technical, then you can obfuscate IP addresses. So one of our premium features as well will be to use operator nodes for that use case. And so it's not technically the same thing, but conceptually you might think of it as at the click of a button, engaging operator nodes for your own sort of decentralized VPN to mask your IP address and your location. And so, yeah, it's really interesting because this operator node base ladders up to a better video conferencing product, especially if you're trying to keep it decentralized, secure, and all of those good things. So yeah, Petri, we need to catch up and talk about the exact release dates of those, of course. But yeah, lots of good stuff coming through on the roadmap like that. I think we need to have like a proper cascade session on the roadmap once it's kind of more locked. We're working on that at the moment. It's not quite ready to share today, but I think get that shared by the end of the year, before Christmas. That would be great. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to hear a little more technical explanation of this operator node connection and what will happen once this feature has been taken into use and deployed, is that okay, all the StreamrTV streams, they will be created on the on the blockchain, the same as any other streamer streams, and they can be and also a sponsorship is created for each stream automatically. And now that operator nodes are running this auto staker, which searches for opportunities to monetize by joining sponsorships. So the system works so that these operator nodes that are running the auto staker, they will actually join these Streamr video streams or video calls. They will join as nodes there. And as we know that operator nodes are usually run in the cloud, so they are rather powerful machines with a lot of bandwidth, especially a lot of bandwidth, and they are in the open internet. They can provide WebSocket connectivity, whereas like if you are just having a video call using Streamr on your browser, the connectivity that you have is usually WebRTC. So when you bring in these powerful operator nodes into the call with their almost unlimited bandwidth WebSocket connections, so the connectivity of this video call simply becomes much more reliable. So these browser nodes participating in the video call, in addition to forming direct links between each other using WebRTC, they can also form WebSocket links through these operator nodes. And this has clear benefits if you think about like firewalls and VPNs and such environments that restrict WebRTC connectivity. So things are just, they work well in the current setup where we only use WebRTC, but they will work better with the operator nodes who bring in the WebSocket connectivity there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, any more questions, Adib, from the community, or?
Yeah, I can check.
Do you think we missed anything that we need to cover off, or have we kind of covered the majority of it?
I think we covered a lot of really technical, some technical things, some community driven things. But yeah, no, I think everything sounds relatively exciting, because we're almost there, but I mean, what's so crazy is we have the product out right now, but it's like the MVP product, or version 1.02, right? Something like that. What's the
MVP we call it?
I'm like looking at the phone while I'm talking. I get confused a little bit. Version, so we've done maybe 3 or 4 different iterations. We added the chat, we added engagement interaction on the streams now on StreamrTV. I think so like you can go and check it out and see for yourself and start streaming yourself. It's really easy to do. It's all on the web browser as well. I think like those are the most important points there. It's like we actually have something out there right now, and now we're getting like really close to like making a full-fledged product suite of of like what you can do within Streamr, which is essentially StreamrTV. And I personally think what you guys were saying as far as on the business side, the conference calls will be huge, especially because of all of the hacks. It's just now getting like the social proof around it, and people like having more faith and authority around the conference calls. And like here, because that would be that's going to be the biggest thing. It's like when you can get business, if it's a free subscription and they get all the same things as Google Meets, but it's all private and encrypted, instead of like Google Meets basically, you know, taking that data mining, right? So I think like that's probably like to see that side of that angle kind of flourish. It will come more from, I think, authority building and social proof, because currently we all know, like if I see someone send me a cal.com link, I get kind of scared. I'm like, okay, what is this? Like, you know, people have been hacked before, they've been, you know, scammed, and you know, a lot of us in the space have. So something that's kind of that's out of the norm for them, they'll definitely like have to do some extra research and all of this stuff. So I think that's going to be one of the bigger things to kind of get around. But I think once that does happen, that's going to be a huge possible rocket ship, right? Where people, I personally believe, will rather use Streamr Meets than any other meeting app, especially because of the ease of use of it, and then as well the private encryption. That's like, no, I don't think any other video calling service does that, or conference call service does that currently.
Yeah, so I think
Specializes in.
There's a lot of good points in there, Dee, but I think just to take the conversation on sort of marketing and growth, like what's really key for us as a brand, as a project, is that we own security and privacy, and we're always working towards getting more secure, more private. That's what our project has to become known for, right? And I think another part of that, another is, you know, it's key that we stay on that path and just keeps driving that home and cementing our positioning there. But I think part of that is about establishing trustless technology as the next level, the higher level for privacy and security. So, you know, open source has very much been the sort of moniker for best practice for a long, long time. We're on a journey to becoming open source as well. But that is like the hygiene factor. You know, everyone claims to be open source now as if that is the silver bullet and that solves all problems in this space. I mean, open source is an amazing thing. Don't get me wrong. We need to be there, and we're going there. But we need to start landing the benefits of trustless technology as well. That's what the next generation of private and secure apps looks like, in my opinion. So yeah.
Or trust minimized.
Exactly. Yeah. I think also you touched on it as well, is like a lot of us in this space have been hacked, have, you know, been subject to sort of scams, social engineering and what have you. And when that happens to you, it's like a life-changing event. This happened to me, I think it was 5 years ago, my WhatsApp was hacked, and it feels like someone's been through your house. It's like being burgled. It's pretty grim, because they get access to everything very, very quickly, and they can do whatever they want with it. And all of that happens whilst sometimes you're not even online, you're not even aware it's happening. I also had my Discord hacked, and that was about 3 years ago. So it's happened to me a couple of times. I'm much tighter on my security practices now. But you learn these things the hard way, and a lot of people just, you know, haven't had that nasty experience yet. But when it does happen, you know, I think that's the game changer, when people start thinking about privacy and security a lot more. But it's going to continue to happen to more and more people. So, you know, this problem's here to stay, and we need to start solving it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key. If we can actually do this and do it at a high level, this is like solving a huge hole in the market.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, obviously, as well, is like all of these government organizations, non-government organizations, startups, enterprises, political activists, all having these conversations on Google Meet and Zoom.
Yeah.
And it's just an open door. This problem needs to be solved. So
there's like no other app that does it, only Signal. And I think you can do calls via Signal, but it's not like a live streaming or a conference app as well. Like there's another app called Key that you can do video calls on there. It's also a chat app, but it's not like for the purpose of conference meetings. You know what I mean? Like how Google Meets is for like conference meetings and Zoom is for conference meetings. Like,
yeah. So there is something called Jitsi. So Jitsi is open source video conferencing. That's probably the most secure today, but it's not a perfect solution in that they do use media servers and different levels of encryption, but also it doesn't work consistently. Like we were using it earlier this week, and for one of the participants, it failed. So, again, the underlying technology there isn't as strong and as future-proof as Streamr Network, which is why we think we have a role to play here. So.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if talking about competitors and what is our unique, what is our unique
value?
What was the correct word? So if we think about Jitsi Meet, so Jitsi Meet is basically the plain standard WebRTC video calling using a server. So you use a signaling server, and through that you just negotiate WebRTC video calls. So it's very basic technology, and it means that it doesn't really scale. You cannot have hundreds of people viewing your Jitsi Meet call. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but Jitsi Meet in Finnish. They do have the possibility of rebroadcasting the call to YouTube and such, but that is basically the same thing that Streamyard is doing. These people who are viewing the call from there, they are non-interactive, just like in this call. At the very moment we are restreaming to YouTube, and we are trying to read the comments from there and various other platforms. Those people cannot join this call. So that's unlike our system, which is scalable. So our system will really be like X Spaces with video, where this audience have the possibility of becoming a speaker and joining the call, and we are going to be very scalable in doing this.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Scalability is one of our strongest selling points if we compare to competitors out there. Another one that is like our main selling point, and that has been emphasized over and over again by Mark, is the security. So if we think about another competitor, Huddle 01. So Huddle 01 is similar in the sense that it is kind of Web3 native video conferencing app, but their system is simply not end-to-end encrypted. So they do this re-encoding of the videos on their nodes, and if you are re-encoding videos to different resolutions, you need to first decrypt the video before you can do any kind of video processing operations on it.
Petri, you know what's more interesting than that is the fact that Google and Zoom aren't end-to-end encrypted by default.
Yes.
Or anyway, they kind of claim that they are. Like I was looking at the Google Meet settings, and it's end-to-end encrypted, but the keys are stored on the cloud, which kind of defies the point of end-to-end encryption. Like the end-to-end encryption means that the keys sit on your local device, right? So you have to manually go into Google Meet and select that for a given meeting, which is kind of ridiculous.
Bananas.
Yeah. Streamr's end-to-end encrypted by default. So yeah, I mean, as a starting point,
we got another question. Real quick, WRT privacy and security. Writing about privacy and security. How private and secure do you think the Streamr method is regarding the Streamr URL sharing? What could be improvements on this?
Well, this is a really interesting point. I'm going to bat this over to Petri because this gets quite technical quite quickly.
Yeah. So basically, because you have the encryption key in the URL, as you might know. So this makes Streamr as secure as the method of sharing this link. So if you are sharing this link over unsecure channels, then you have the risk of somebody joining the call and listening. So this is one thing that we are going to address, and the first iteration along this route will be that we will be enabling password protection. So the key that you share as part of the URL will be additionally protected by a password. Well, this kind of, well, it's kind of, this is not like the ultimate solution. It means that, okay, then this password needs to be somehow also communicated, but maybe you have done it like offline when you when you took the StreamrTV to use in your company already. But yeah, it is just another thing that needs to be somehow securely stored. We are also looking into various different key exchange protocols, and as we go for this logging in kind of functionality using Web3, so we can use that one, like this so-called token gating, also as a mechanism of securing the Streamr teleconferences. So we have these things in the map. We will find ways of securing the Streamr calls even better than what they are at the current level.
Yeah, so just to play back what Petri's saying, perhaps less technical terms, but the encryption keys are shared in the URL at the moment. So what that means is, let's say 3 of us want to set up a video conference and a meet. I send the link to Adiv, I send the link to Petri, and therefore the level of security is as secure as the platform that I'm sharing those links on. So if I'm sharing them on WhatsApp, which in theory is end-to-end encrypted, then that's the level of security. If WhatsApp is hacked, then you could, get that URL, and then you could get the encryption keys for the video conference. In theory, that is a fringe, kind of example that is very unlikely to happen, but it could happen theoretically. So then, yeah, what Petri's talking about is we're going to add other features whereby if you want, and I want to verify this, Adiv joining the call or Petri, And there's ways to do that in the sort of Web 2 to Web 3 way. Obviously, the way that we're most excited about is the Web 3 way, where we ask someone to sign with their crypto wallet to say, okay, I am Mark Little. Here's my wallet address. And I'm going to sign my end to prove that through cryptographic proofing. That's pretty exciting. That's not for everyday users, I don't think. I think that's for an advanced Web 3 use case to protect people that work in the industry and people that are extremely security conscious.
Yes. So to add to this thing that it probably going to be very hard to implement proper like security of the key without wallets. But as we are going to have those wallets as part of this journey, so there's a positive thing that we have already implemented. We have already implemented the key exchange mechanism in the lower layers of the Streamr protocol. It has not been in use in StreamrTV because we don't have the wallet, so it's not usable. But it will be once we have these wallets.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go off on a tangent now, but my brain's we're probably at some point going to introduce a communications function whereby we can share the URLs amongst trusted partners and invitees that you want to bring on. But anyway, let's not go off on that tangent. That's a discussion for another day. There's also a comment from Locked Better Name. Great to see new energy in the project. Excited to see where decentralized streaming goes. Thanks. How will the platform be moderated? What would prevent an illegal or unethical stream? So this is a really interesting question. So a couple of points on this. First of all, like decentralized technology is permissionless. So, it's permissionless by design. It means that if you use the Streamr network, you can use it to propagate data, and no one can really stop you doing that. That's the whole point of decentralized tech. It's censorship resistant. And so you can send data or video stream from person A or peer A to peer B to C to D as you desire. And that's kind of the backbone of decentralized social media, in that, part of the promise there is censorship resistance. Of course, that opens itself up to, abuse, because you're getting into a much more sort of anarchic kind of territory. And so we've talked about this in this call, but we've seen other platforms have been used and abused. I think Pump.Fun, when they first launched their live streaming products, there was all sorts of nasty, illegal, immoral things that are being live streamed on there. So the short answer to the question is, we can't prevent it in a sort of private scenario. If something is reported to us, and we have a reporting process in place, we already do, by the way, is what I'm saying, then we can block it. We can pull down the stream. It opens a debate as to whether that's the right thing to do or not, given that we are permissionless and censorship resistant, and that's kind of part of our value proposition, because you can see that some users are going to use this for ethical reasons. So let's think about citizen journalists or activist groups who need absolute security and privacy for sharing of very sensitive information. So, I think we take the need for this as little, we take it for granted in the West, in sort of freer democracies. But again, I was talking about this on an AMA yesterday, and the panelist I was on with was a Russian activist, and he built a centralized VPN because, he needs to be able to communicate with his contacts in a secure and private manner. And there's a real need for that in Russia. And then I was talking about the fact that I lived in China for 5 years. And once you've lived in a place like China, you understand that Chinese citizens aren't really free in the same way that we are in the West, and so there's a real need for this. And so I think the argument is that the overarching need for private and secure video conferencing, and not just video conferencing, but all applications that are in the comm space, far outweighs the the potential downside and the opportunity for abuse. So it's not a perfect answer, and there is that aspect that could well occur. A similar sort of argument has been made for Bitcoin many times. The naysayers of Bitcoin, the people that have tried to sort of suppress it, have for years and years said that, well, Bitcoin's used by criminals. But actually, the greater good of Bitcoin is that it's giving the world a better form of money than the US dollar or the euro or the UK pound or any other fiat currency. So yeah, that's where we're at in terms of the thinking around that. I think it's a really good question. I think we should continue to talk about it and discuss it. We need to get that right, and it's a bit of it's a challenge. It's a difficult one.
I feel like in the beginning we'll kind of, if I'm not mistaken, almost allow anything in a sense.
Yeah. Say that again.
I said, I feel like in the beginning, we'll almost allow most content to be created. I mean, it just as a way to, I think any type of press is good press for us, especially when we're just getting started. We haven't had those discussions, right? I'm just saying that.
Yeah. Like the thing is, the technology is decentralized. Today, Streamr Network can be used for sending anything, and we can't see it. We don't know. Okay. So we built a technology, but it's secure by design. That's the point. Like I have seen copyright infringed live streams of sports matches that have been live streamed on StreamrTV because it's been posted on social media. And if the owners of those copyright were to approach our company and say they're not happy about this, then we would approach those broadcasters of that copyright infringed content and ask them to put it down. We might even actively block it, right? So this is how other privacy-based and security-based platforms manage this in their T's and C's. And so that's how we kind of have to view that. Lots Better Name has just asked another question, follow on, saying, are you concerned about the legal and reputational risk? Yeah, of course we're concerned about that. We're going to do things legally. And we've started that journey. We're going to continue working with the relevant lawyers to make sure that we do this in the proper way. There's nothing that we're going to be doing here that's illegal in terms of providing the technology. But with regards to the reputational risk, what the reputation of what Streamr is going to become is the most private and secure and best place to host communications for certain use cases where that is absolutely paramount and needed. There could be all sorts of nefarious content being shared on Signal, as an example, or via Proton Mail, and no one would know. But actually, those projects have come to be known as the flagship for privacy and security today. What we're saying is that through our technology, we can raise the bar again, especially within the context of video streaming, which is a very, very difficult thing to do. So we're putting to play here all of the amazing features and capability of the Streamr network. And I think it's only when you really start to think about it and start to understand what the Streamr network can do, it's only then does the penny drop and you go, okay, we can do things on a whole higher level. And I'm not concerned about reputational risk because we're building products and feature sets against a worthy cause. Privacy and security is a worthy cause. It is very, very important that technologies the right values and the right visions continue to build privacy-based and secure platforms for communications. And I'll go back to the point that in the West, many of us take this for granted. But when security and privacy starts to erode, it is a very, very slippery slope. And it's very hard to have a free, open democracy and society if you can't have a private conversation. Imagine the value of a private conversation, or imagine a world in which you couldn't have a private conversation. In that scenario, you're not truly free as an individual to have the discussions that you want to have the discussions that you need to have in order to protect a democratic and free way of living. So, you start thinking about this, you get to a very sort of political area quite quickly. But I think an alarming trend, and we're seeing this, across Europe and in the UK, is we're seeing our leaders, our governments becoming more controlling. They want more of your data. They want more insight. Some, members of the European Parliament, UK MPs, talking about banning end-to-end encryption entirely. This is really quite an alarming trend that we're seeing. We all have to take a step back and realize that governments are there to serve us. Right? We're not there to serve them, and the balance of power is tipping in the wrong way. And I think, we've seen consistently for the last 10 and 20 years, the tech conglomerates, the guys that, the businesses that dominate technology today, they will bend on their knee for any government that comes knocking on their door, because the only thing they care about is money and shareholder value and making themselves wealthier and wealthier and wealthier at the cost of everyone else. And so, we feel strongly that decentralized technologies, trustless technology, has a really clear role to play here. So am I concerned about reputational risk? Absolutely not. I think this translates into really positive reputation. It translates into really positive brand equity over time, which is what Signal and Proton have come to become, right, over the years, by consistently executing against those values. So that's what we're about now. That's what we're going to go after. And that's what we're going to own. Okay. Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there, guys.
It's coming from passion.
Yeah, well, I mean, it comes from a good place. Like, we've discussed these things at length internally, and like, we're decentralists. Like, that's why we're all here. That's why we got here in the first place. Like, we need to get back into this, really understand what we stand for, what we're building, and ultimately, Web3 is trying to build a better internet, a better place for us to exist and to communicate. So, okay, I'll stop my rant. Okay, yeah, no futuristic. Hey, man, and I saw the Eng commented as well, the engineer. So, hey guys, yeah, if you haven't seen Nofu and the engineer, they do daily live streams on StreamrTV, and they've got these guys are professional streamers. They've got a great show, so go and check it out if you haven't seen them. Anyway, Nofu comments, haha, we're discussing streamer sports activities while making predictions on Polymarket. Yeah. So, streamers built on Polygon. Nofu and the engineer are big supporters of the Polygon ecosystem, and they're doing live streams and talking about predictions on Polymarket, which is a flagship prediction market on Polygon, if you don't know. We don't want to get you all in trouble, though. You do your thing, man. You do you. That's great. Cool. Yeah, go and check out that show if you haven't seen it. Those guys are great. Lot better name has got some more comments. If you introduce an AI agent to scan the content, does that compromise the privacy value proposition? What if it is a decentralized and transparent agent? Maybe you could do something homomorphic encryption, something that returns a result without revealing the underlying source data. Oh man, these comments and questions are on point. I love this. Right, let's have a quick discussion about this. We're over time, but this is really relevant and interesting. So, actually, we've been discussing this week within the core team. And so there's a massive trend online at the moment about no AI. There's a backlash from communities, from individuals. We all see already the intrusive nature of AI, and you don't have to be a technologist to understand that it is sucking up personal data that you should be concerned about, and it's sucking that up to train the models. This is what the big AI companies, they're called foundational AI companies out of Silicon Valley, are doing. We should all be much, much, much more concerned about this. Like, we've seen the history of Web 2, and the Web 2 companies being the likes of Meta, aka Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Google, and all the others. And for years, their whole model has been a walled garden of data, our data, that they can monetize for their shareholders. Fine, we all know that story. That's why Web3 came along. But AI just worsens this trend, and we're seeing this massive extrapolation of data into AI companies as they monetize this aggressively, and they'll become the biggest companies the world has ever seen. And so, advocates of privacy, and decentralization are fighting against that. And there's many great projects that are, that are taking on that fight. Now, Locked Better Names is, Lacked Better Names. I couldn't see the O. It's Lacked Better Name. If you introduce an AI agent to scan the content, does that compromise your privacy value? So yes, it does. We're actually discussing this today. We're in one of our premium features. Everyone that's using video conferencing is using an AI agent to record the call, transcribe it, summary notes, actions. It's almost like a hygiene level feature now. People used to use external tools to do that, like, I don't know, Fathom is one that I use, for example. Google Meet and Zoom have introduced it natively. All that data they're recording all sits in the cloud and their servers. And so if we introduce that as a feature, we need to be very privacy conscious around that. So yeah, we are discussing that. We haven't really come to a conclusion of the right way to do it. But ultimately, where we're going to go with that is trustless AI agents if we do it. Or it might be that we decide not to do the AI agent at all and just become a no AI type platform. Just linking back to this kind of trend that we're seeing online of this kind of rejection of AI and this no AI trend. So part of our marketing messaging might become, we don't use any AI at all. If we do, and we introduce that AI agent, then it should be trustless, private, and secure, of course. So that is a great question. It's very on point. We haven't got the definitive answer for that yet, but we're working these things through. Lacked Better Name also made another comment just now. Maybe you could do some homomorphic encryption, something that returns a result without revealing the underlying source data. So another way of framing that is ZK technology, zero knowledge. So zero knowledge, I haven't really been down the rabbit hole on that for some time, but that is, it's not technically a Web3 technology, but it's used in Web3 a lot. And it's used in layer 2s to roll up layer 1 blockchain data to make transaction processing quicker. So you have to process less data in order to make a transaction, essentially, is the basic concept. But it's also used in privacy. So, for example, this is a pretty crappy example, but you could use ZK technology to say, I am Mark Little, without giving away all of my personal information. So you might be engaging with a bank, for example. Like at a moment when you set up a bank account, you have to hand over your passport, your address, your utility bill. All of this personal information sits with that bank. Whereas actually a ZK a layer in between would mean that I could hand over all that information to that trustless technology. On the other side, the bank could say, okay, this guy is Mark Little. It's just at the same time the bank hasn't seen my passport and my date of birth and my address and my phone number and everything else. That adds a layer of, that by exposing that adds risk. There are many uses to ZK technology. It's kind of an expansive topic. Lacked Better Name specifically refers to homomorphic encryption. Petri, I don't know if you know much about homomorphic encryption. That's beyond my area of expertise, to be honest. So I'm going to stop on that. Petri, have you got on that?
What was the term?
Homomorphic encryption, something that returns a result without revealing the underlying source data. Maybe we want to take that offline. I don't know, but
yeah, I think we need to.
It's a big one.
It's a big one, but this is an interesting topic. We really need to dig into it later. There are some other questions. Bonjo is asking about where the AES keys would be put, and putting them in browser is not safe at all, and so on. So I wonder which key he's referring to. Is he referring to this key that is used to encrypt the web wallet? In this case, we are using this create blob extension of WebAuthn, and that standard it can store 32 bytes, and it can be implemented by the browser in various ways, and one of the ways is actually the physical security keys. So if you have a physical security key connected to your device, that is where this CRED blob containing this AES key will be stored into. In this case, about the record. So Marcus from Play 44 Sports, question on the records: are they on the blockchain forever, or can they be deleted? Probably he is asking about this recordings. So recordings are by no means connected to the blockchain, and they can be freely deleted. But maybe try this our current recording feature that at least until recently has been lacking this deleting function. That will be added pretty soon. But I would like to emphasize that the recording feature that we currently have online in StreamrTV, it's a very, very early version that doesn't have encryption. So the recording feature that we are going to release to with these paid tiers is going to be encrypted. It is going to be different from that you can now see in StreamrTV. So I hope this one answers your question, Marcus.
Yeah, so I'll just build on that. Like a lot of people think Streamr network is a blockchain. I mean, it's not. It's a peer-to-peer technology, and we use blockchain to do certain things. We use blockchain for two principal reasons. One is to verify data sources. So in a video conferencing application use case, the data source, as we're having this conversation, might be myself, it might be Petri, it might be Adiv. And so as we're coming in to stream that video stream on the Streamr network, that's verified on the blockchain. So there's a smart contract process for that. And the other thing that we use the blockchain for is for tokenomics of operator nodes. And we call this the kind of incentive layer. And so operator nodes get crypto token rewards called data, which is our native token. So that's why we use the blockchain, but Streamr network isn't a blockchain per se. And then to Petri's point, in the video recordings, we have a centralized solution for that in the beta, and we're going to move to decentralized at a later stage in the journey for all the good reasons. So yeah. So I've lost the camera of Adiv and Petri. I don't know if you guys are still there, or StreamYard's bugging out, but Petri, you're back. We've lost Adiv. Adiv's also left my TikTok stream as well, so maybe he's had enough. Or his internet's dropped or something.
Yes.
Cool. Oh, Adiv's back on my TikTok. Hey, man. Yeah, Adiv, you've dropped out of the StreamYard and the live stream everywhere else, but I think we're good. I think we've talked enough. I can't imagine anyone's still listening. We've been here for an hour and a half. I think we covered everything. So it's been a great session. I don't think anyone can see me either because it's gone dark outside, so apologies for that. So, yeah, Petri, anything to wrap up with on your side, or?
Nothing really except that I think this product that we're going to release is going to be very, very exciting, and I'm happy as a developer that we have gotten so far in the development. That was shown in the demo day on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, the situation.
Yeah, I wonder if we could give a bit more of a sneak peek to followers of Streamr in terms of the demos that are being worked on somehow. Maybe you and I could do a little video recording or something of that, because obviously I'm lucky enough I get to sit in those sessions, and it's always it's insightful and it's exciting because I see this stuff and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I mean, I'm just going to wrap up by saying the biggest technical challenge as we go from MVP2 to a video conferencing app is going to multi-broadcast, aka many-to-many. Petri and his team landed a demo on Tuesday, which is very encouraging. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves because it's a very difficult thing to do. But from what we saw on Tuesday, we're in a really, really good place. And there's a low latency multi-broadcast solution there working already. To do video conferencing and for human interaction, you need to have low latency, like think 200 milliseconds. And that has to happen consistently and globally. So technically, this is a challenging thing. Yeah, fair play to Petri and his team because they've managed to get that going. So yes, I think we'll wrap up here. We're an hour and a half in. Thanks for all the comments, everyone. Thanks, Petri. Thanks, Adeve. Yeah, enjoyed that. By the way, just as a heads up as well, I'm trying to get Timpy onto another one of these calls. If you're not familiar with Timpy, they
that'd be
are.
great.
Yeah, I've actually been working on a sort of side project with them, and they're scraping data from the internet because they've indexed the entire internet using their decentralized node base, and we're using that data to sharpen our marketing and go-to-market strategy. So they're talking to us about the sort of big opportunities, the target personas, the channels they're on, paid advertising strategies. So we're building a bit of a case study around that, and yeah, we'll get the Timpy guys on to talk about that because it's pretty fascinating. It's interesting. Anyway, let's wrap up there. We'll put a summary of this into the Discord so the community can read it. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for your time. We'll speak to you again in 2 weeks on this call.
Sounds good. All right. Bye, guys.